And Vik, thank you so much for making time for us to work together and tell the world about why MySQL Database Service on OCI is the best place to run WordPress. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at today's agenda. I'm just gonna quickly summarize it. According to this agenda, I will start by giving a technical overview of WordPress, MySQL, and the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. Then Vik and I will talk about the business benefits of running WordPress on OCI. In other words, I'll be your techie and Vik will be your business expert as a CEO. Finally, at the end, as the techie, I know that no webinar is complete without a technical demo. In fact, I'll probably slide in 2 or 3 of them. So let's go ahead and get started. However, before I start talking about all the technical stuff, let's give Vik a chance to talk to us about being CEO of VastEdge.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Prasidi. So I'm Vik, and VastEdge, we have been founded in 2004. We have been doing a lot of OCI work, and recently with MySQL, the MDS platform on Oracle Cloud, a lot of WordPress customers have been leveraging the benefits of Oracle Cloud, MySQL and WordPress on Oracle Cloud. So that's what we specialize, as you can see on the right-hand side, with all those add-ons on the Oracle Cloud. And we are a high-quality boutique firm with 150 professionals globally, and 200 plus active customers, SMB and enterprise, that we have migrated to Oracle Cloud. And some of the benefits that we have is no more of that research work, and a lot of those reference architectures, proven reference architectures that we have been leveraging that help you grow your business. And we'll talk about those slides in the next few slides. But we also leverage pre-built solutions, so you can rapidly click on a button and go live with those add-ons. So thank you, Prasidi.
Thank you for this overview, Vik. Now you and I are ready. So let's go ahead. I'm going to change the slide. By the way, you'll notice that I move my head around. It's because I have 2 screens, and sometimes I need to look at the other screen. It's not that I'm ignoring it. All right. So now let's talk about WordPress, our main guide. I'm sure you have heard of WordPress. It is undoubtedly the most popular content management system that is being used today. And here's why. You can host about anything on WordPress, from simple portfolio websites to full-fledged e-commerce website. For example, I have this friend. She's been working in the financial industry all her life. She hates computers. However, she comes to me, she says, Prasidi, I'm building this house. And you know what? I have all the pictures, I have all the, the framework and everything. And, as I'm building it, I want to share with my kids what the house looks like. Is there something I can use? I said, wait a minute, I can create a WordPress system on Oracle for you, and then you can get to work. So I did. She got an account. We installed WordPress on OCI for her, and you should see her website. This woman's never built a website or anything. She sends the link to her kids, and then she says, Prasidi, how do I get my kids to comment on what I'm doing? I've shown her. Now she thinks she's an expert. She's planning to do another website. This one is going to be on finance. This is how amazing WordPress on OCI is. Like I said, it's perfect for the small stuff and the big stuff, and it can be used globally. And you know what? According to W3 Tech, WordPress powers over 16 million websites on the internet, and some intranets too. That is 36% of all websites on the internet. WordPress requires a combination of software and components to run, and there in OCI, we provide it. These software components are called LAMP, Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. And this LAMP stack is very popular in the development industry. I've been using them for ages to build my web applications. Now, the LAMP stack's popularity is attributed to Apache. Apache is the web server, and it is used by practically everyone. And then we have PHP. Yeah, most people now are not doing, but there's a lot of PHP out there. And PHP is also written, WordPress is written in PHP. So in order to use WordPress, you need to have PHP installed. And then there's MySQL that handles all of the storage for WordPress, the pages, the data, and everything. It is all stored in MySQL. But I don't want to forget the most important one of all, which is the operating system, Linux. Linux, you do know, is used by practically all programmers. Even Windows had to add Linux to its system because it is so popular. So those are the key products that makes WordPress so important and so popular and so easy to use. Now let's go back, let's go to the next piece, which is MySQL, which is my favorite. MySQL is the M in LAMP. It is the #1 source database system. And according to Stack Overflow, MySQL has been for a long time and remained the #1 choice for developers. Then Oracle decided to create their own MySQL cloud, which is very different from everyone else's MySQL cloud. It is called Oracle MySQL HeatWave. It is faster, easier, and it is secure and enterprise ready. That is the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure MySQL Cloud Service. It is 100% built and managed and supported by the MySQL team, the people who created MySQL, the people who maintains MySQL, who provide the releases, and the people who support MySQL. And here's another thing that we offer from OCI. If you are using MySQL HeatWave, we give you 24/7 support at no additional cost. That's something you cannot find in any other cloud. Also, just remember, you are in the cloud. The reason you are there is because you don't want to do all that extra work. Well, Oracle has automated all the MySQL database tasks, such as backup and recovery, database and operating system patching, and all these other things, which is great news for the WordPress sysadmin. Normally, they're overlaid with mundane database administration tasks. With MySQL HeatWave, they don't have to worry about it. And here's the other part. All their data is kept private with encryption at rest and encryption intrinsic technology. In other words, while your data is sitting there, it's protected. When you're sending it somewhere else, we encrypt it to make sure it's protected too. Now, let's talk about scalability. When you decide to build your WordPress system on MySQL HeatWave, we give you 3 different options. There is the standalone option. That one is a single instance database system, and we usually encourage you to use it for non-critical applications. And then we have the high availability option. We recommend it for applications that require higher uptime and or 0 data loss. It uses MySQL group replication technology to replicate data across 3 instances, 3 MySQL instances. We have a primary, instance where data is written to it and read from it, and the other two are secondary instances. In those secondary instances, you can only write to it, but they're available. In case something happens to the primary instance, one of the secondary instances take over immediately, and it happens in minutes without any data loss, and you don't need to reconfigure your applications because of the IP address or anything, because we use just one IP address. When we go to the second one, the secondary, we also use the same IP address. Now, another big thing about our OCI MySQL Cloud Service is the HeatWave option. This one uses an innovative in-memory analytic engine to provide 400 times query acceleration for MySQL. And it is not expensive at all. It can be used for high volume analytic processing. For example, like WordPress has this WooCommerce theme that you can handle lots and lots of data, and probably you want to do analytic with this type of data. This is where HeatWave comes in and it shines. But the beauty about HeatWave is, unlike any other MySQL analytic DB system such as Amazon Redshift, well, it does not require ETL to do your processing. ETL is when you extract and then you transform data from like your current location in one server, and you transform it, and then you take it, send it to another server in another place to load. This is typical of the analytic database system, but HeatWave does not do that. All the data is stored and processed in one location. So you don't have to worry about data transportation security issues. And here's the best part: you don't have to pay for an extra cloud and database server. Good. So we've talked about WordPress. We've talked about MySQL. You see how they're kind of flowing with each other. Let's talk about the big guy, which is the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. This is where WordPress, MySQL, Linux, and all their friends run. Now, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure is Oracle's modern cloud platform. It is based on the latest cloud technologies and standard. Oracle Cloud Infrastructure provides more consistent performance and better features at a lower cost. It has all the services you need to build and run your WordPress system and any other cloud applications. You can create them, bring in your Google chart application and run it. You can do all these things. And here's the thing: depending on how much power, space you need, OCI scales quickly with on-demand infrastructure. Not bad, huh? And then Oracle has designed security into the core OCI and made the security tooling part of your application's framework. This is why we give our customers the highest security standard at no extra cost. We offer superior price performance. The cost for a compute or storage service is consistently low across all regions. In other words, you pay the same amount, no matter what region you're using. And OCI cloud capabilities, such as security and container management, are included in the compute cost. You don't have to pay extra for it like the other clouds. Okay. I've been really technical. It is Vik's turn to talk about his expertise, which is business as the CEO. Vik, tell me about cloud comparison between OCI for WordPress and all the other guys.
Absolutely, Prasidi. So one of the things that, or the key things we have observed is that it's, I'll start with the first thing, right? Why do we do WordPress? Why do we do e-commerce? For sales, to increase our sales, for ease of use, and for high availability. You're paying for ads, you're paying for marketing campaigns on Facebook, on Instagram, different places. So you can't afford the site to go down, or you want high SEO. And one of the things we observed is that bringing it to the cloud brings us two things on OCI specifically. One, a lot of people had been hosting it on some data center somewhere, and just when they moved it to OCI, their response times increased quite a bit, and it helped them with their SEO, with their search engine optimization. Of course, that's one of the factors, but it does help with the SEO perspective. So that was one thing we saw. The load times were much, much faster, not only from the number of hops that got reduced, but also from the failover, as well as the high speed that we got on OCI with all these block storages, as Prasidi was mentioning. It's very high back and forth IOPS. So those were some of the advantages. And as the slide speaks to itself, that the pricing, if you look at, like, just look for yourself, right? If you look at the pricing on, for example, AWS, right? You see that the key database, which you do read and write, and then two secondary databases that you do the read only, which you can use, of course, for analytics as well, with the HeatWave and the analytics engine. So that itself is 4 times the cost. And the pricing options are available online. You can just drag and drop, and you can see those prices, again, 4 times. So, and this is all publicly there. So that's what we had seen. And the biggest advantages we had was, you don't have to work on like 4 or 5 different databases. One database, you use it for your primary purpose, which is your WordPress, and then you can add on applications to it. Need not be WordPress, but other applications as well that you have built could be a part of it. And then your analytics engine, you don't have to take the data out into another database, or you don't have to rely on the APIs or recoding of the APIs or the security layer that you have to embed. What we have been leveraging is the Oracle security, the web security, that also helps you with the SQL injection, that prevents all of that. So it's like one security layer, one database layer, one application layer, and you're done. So the time to market and go live is much, much faster.
Thank you. Let's go ahead and talk about the other parts. Tell me, do you have any use cases or known users of WordPress you'd like to share with us?
So,
can you hear me? Sorry.
Yeah, so a lot of the use cases that we have been deploying are, of course, the e-commerce, the blogs are the number one. But then what we have seen recently, or what we have been deploying recently, is a lot of custom ERP kind of applications, because a lot of customers want like a small application that is very specific to their business, that they want to use internally, and could be domain specific, like healthcare. We have done some. And again, with the, as you said, now healthcare is very, for HIPAA compliance, we use a lot of these, the security layers where the data is in. So we are doing 4 layers of security, just so that you know, for these healthcare companies, and also for the financial institutions. So MySQL is becoming more and more popular in larger companies, and everybody's asking about it, just so that you know. And these are some of the names that you can see. So everybody's inquiring that it's lower cost, it's fully maintained, it's fully supported, it's an enterprise product now. So how can we get onto MySQL? We have been inundated with those requests more than any other database. So those are some of the business benefits. Like, besides using WordPress on e-commerce, we are also extending it to other applications specific to those businesses.
Thank you. This is good to know. It's nice to know that people are excited about our product and want to use it. And I hope that some of you from the audience will join those people soon. Now, I kept talking about lower cost. why don't you explain lower cost from the business point of view for us?
So as I said earlier, that there's a direct cost and then there's an indirect cost. So the TCO, of course, when you take the TCO into consideration, a lot of times people ignore the time it takes to do research and the time it takes to get something out and going live. So all that is taken care of with MDS, which is the enterprise version of MySQL, which comes with, you click a button, and Prasidi will talk more about that. Like you click a button, there's a reference architecture, you're up and running with all the failover on the application side and with the firewall on there that prevents all those, because a lot of people must be aware with WordPress, you have to have a security layer. You can do it by adding plugins, or there's an default option available on OCI, on Oracle Cloud, that takes care of your web security. So all that junk traffic does not make it to your WordPress and you're protected basically. So those are some of the advantages we have seen, that you save time because it's click a button, you're up and running, you focus on your business. And the second thing is, again, as I said, that besides the raw cost, there's a lot of maintenance and support cost that is taken care of. So you don't have to worry about some plugin not working or the database not connecting to it or the failover. And also the analytics engine, now you don't have to rely on going to a Snowflake, or it depends on how much data, but HeatWave up to like 16 processors it can scale, which is enough for most of the businesses who need to run an analytics engine.
What about best practices? I mean, we have lots of information in terms of best practices on our website. From your point of view, what are some good best practices for using WordPress on MySQL HeatWave with OCI?
Again, Prasidi, one thing I would say is that a lot of times when you do research, there's security holes that are created. And that's the number one best practice, is to keep your system, your business, your environment secure by adding multiple layers of security. So that's the number one thing I would say. And all our customers are interested in that, because it doesn't matter how big or small the business, security is number one for any business. Ransomware is going on. You have to protect your system. And the other, with 4 layers of security, you have the database security, then you have the in-transit security, and then, OCI, all the biggest thing, what we have seen, one of the other things I missed on the previous slide as well, is that most of these installs are done on Red Hat, right? And Red Hat, as you know, is a paid operating system, and CentOS is no longer, I think it's end of life now after the acquisition that Red Hat was acquired. So on Oracle Cloud, that cost is taken care of. You don't have to worry about it, because that operating system, Linux operating system, is free. And that's what we, like the cost dropping quite a bit. And then the other best practices, we use reference architecture, security, and then again, one database. So we are not having to do like analytics using something else. We get analytics available on OCI as well as the MySQL analytics engine. So those are some of the benefits that we're getting, that one database, we are able to monitor and do any auditing, like who created what, when did they create it, all those things. And the network and architecture, it's all integrated. So the go live, again, the go to market and go live is shortened quite a bit. And WordPress in the marketplace is there. You click a button, it's there, and then you import your WordPress from the other location that you have. So basically, if you do it, if you use all these tools on OCI, you could be like in an hour or two, you could be up and running.
I agree. That's a good idea.